Okay, so we're going to get started on this today. Tonal piece of paper, which will allow you to either start working with just a regular HB pencil or an H pencil, or if you'd like, you could start with the white colored pencil. We're working with a Prismacolor pencil, which will be all of our pencils. These are very expensive. They're about $1.09 to $1.29 a piece. They're very, very expensive, but it allows us to layer them. It allows us to erase them. So you could start with your white for your preliminary drawing, and I think because I chose a darker piece of tonal paper, that's what I'll do today. These should be sharpened in the hand sharpeners, and I've got some different hand sharpeners for you set at the middle table. There's also these guys that you can hand sharpen. This is a cool looking pencil sharpener, but they kind of get clogged up. So if you need to, you can kind of disassemble them, and there's a few paper clips that you can kind of get the colored pencil sharpened with. I would be very careful not to let these roll off onto the floor. The reason they're so expensive is the colored pencil is really, really soft. So the more they fall, the more that cylinder of lead inside kind of shatters and falls apart. And then when you sharpen them, the lead kind of falls out. So we use these until they're very, very tiny. In fact, you'll see some in here that are really tiny, but they're so expensive and they work so well that we just kind of use them until they're so small we can't even hold them anymore, okay? They work really well though. Okay, what was the first thing you guys learned how to start that bottle? Where do you start? Bottom, okay? I've got a bottle in front of me. I got to decide what orientation I want my paper. I think I'm just going to go vertical with this, and I've got a bottle. I'm going to put it off to the side because I know I'm going to put a second one in here. And I'm going to start with the bottom. The beautiful thing about drawing bottles is we can see through them. So I specifically chose some bottles that were clear, and that's why I'm having you learn how to do this, so we can see that bottom. I'm standing, so I see more of a true circle on my bottle. So I just keep checking that reference. I'm swinging from my shoulder, and I'm doing this in white. I could do this in regular pencil or a combination of the two. Then I'm going to bring up the cylinder part, okay? And in this case, I have a bottle that's actually more sphere-based. So I'm going to actually maybe, instead of drawing my sides up like I showed you yesterday for the body of your bottle, I'm going to actually draw mine more of a circle, more of a sphere. Because the bottle I'm drawing has kind of a sort of a round-shaped belly happening for the body. We can draw this pretty lightly, but the nice thing about this white pencil is eventually we're going to be layering over all of this anyway. So it doesn't really matter if we make a mistake. We can just restate right here. But truthfully, you could even erase this Prismacolor pretty easily, and that's why we love working with it, okay? But this will just be an underdrawing. All right, I'm going to look here. Here's another great place to look for another ellipse. This ellipse, I can tell, is it's closed more, so the width is narrower, partly because it's getting closer to my eye level. What I'd like you to do for the first part of this class is just sketch out one bottle in white pencil or in regular HB pencil that eventually we're going to end up learning how to use color and layer to make them look like reflective glass. But for now, all I need is a good drawing of it, an accurate drawing where your proportions look pretty close. I'm going to come around and help you get it that way. If you finish one, you can start to sketch a second one. You can either draw the same bottle and move it to a different position, or you could get another bottle or use your partner's bottle and kind of arrange it in your page. My top ellipse is going to be the one that's looking the most narrow. I'm just going to sharpen this really quickly because I'm going to get that detail in. There's a lot of neat threading on my bottle too, so I can see that the top ellipse is not just a line, it's actually a shape. So if I double that, now I've got more of a shape that represents more of the rim of the bottle, and then I can actually start on some of the threading that occurs along the top. With these bottles, most of the interest or the detail will occur sort of up in this top section. The rest of them should be pretty simple unless you have kind of an interesting label or printing on your glass, but this is starting to get me kind of where I want to be with this thing. I'm double check my ellipses. It seems like I've got this one just a little too open. I'll close that down just a bit by restating it. The other thing I will do before I consider moving on to my next bottle is I'm going to sketch out the outline of where I see that cast shadow onto the tabletop. Another nice thing about having the bottles, you can see through. I can actually see the cast shadow starts from that side right there. So it's really nice to be able to see through it. It's also going to be really nice to learn how to layer your pencil to get really reflective and bold highlights. So we'll come back in a minute. If we get the layout done, I'll show you one more step that we could maybe do today. But today our focus is to get 2 bottles drawn on there, get them accurate, get them looking good, so we're ready to start layering color next week. But this will be the finished graded project eventually. So take your time, do good work.